everyone, and welcome to Daytona for the GoldenBrew 200 tonight, where we are going to wrap up this regular season. Guys have to win. Some guys need some points. Some guys just need to not have a bad night. And joining me in the booth tonight, as always, is Dave Huck as a producer and the head of ERN here, who keeps all of us in line, as well as Jacob Adams, who will also be doing some race control. We have just wrapped up qualifying. There you see our track temp and the wind and all that good stuff. But tonight, it doesn't matter how hot or slick this racetrack is. It's going to drive pretty close to the same, being a night race. Jake, what do you think we're going to see tonight here at Daytona?
Yeah, it's the big unknown for a playoff qualifying cutoff race. One guy I'm looking at, Brandon Wilkinson, last week's winner. He still has to point in, even with his win last week, 3 points out. Decided to start in the back. He's going to be rolling off 41st, so he's probably going with the strategy of ride around and wait until the end. And then you've got some other guys that starting up more towards the front that probably want to stay there.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great night here. We've like I said, we've got qualifying just wrapped up here, and we're going to take a look at that qualifying order just here in a second. As William White is going to win the pool over Ethan Burrell, Jeff Ryan, Jonathan Cutlett, Frank Fody, who won at Talladega last year, so we could see a Frank Fody win tonight as he outqualifies Tyler Fody. There they share that road. Justin Wadsworth, Jeff Green, Josh Robin, Seth Rawls, Ty McIntosh, Tate Lytle, Leighton Norgard, Josh Adams, and Dustin Dewar are your top 15. Outside of that, we got Jared Campbell, Jay Canor, Johnny Thomas, Michael Goodman, Jesse Racimus, J.P. Phillips, Zach Evans, Matthew Weeks, Tyler Popp, Scott Crump, Ethan Stanley all the way back there in 26, Joe Francis, Michael Hosick, Robert Hill making a start tonight there, starting just inside the top 30. Then we got Connor Thompson, Jared Rexing, Dylan Javier, Gavin Higgins, Mark Rebilas, our series sponsor. Been out there taking some pictures, talking about doing some storm chasing, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Mark's a great follow on Twitter if you like to see pictures from any kind of major sporting event to storm chasing and everything in between. Kyle Hanshaw right there in 35th, Cale Pocock, Chad Frankenfield all the way back there in 37th, Harrison Talon, Vince Isabella, Corey Abbott. Then you mentioned Brandon Wilkerson and Tommy Ryan rounding out your field. So, Jake, real quick, I want you to give me a winner and give me a guy you think is going to fall out of the playoffs and who he's going to get jumped by behind the cut line.
Let's see here. I've been thinking about this all day, and we've got Seth Rawls. He's +3 in points. He's starting 10th. I look for him to be aggressive and try and stay up in the top 10 and get some stage points. But then I look for him to be even more aggressive and go for the win and not have to worry about that 3-point buffer. So I'm gonna go with the 25 Seth Rawls tonight.
To win the race?
To win the race, yes. And obviously that would advance him into the playoffs.
Well, all right. Dave, you got to pick to win the race and a guy you think is going to jump into the playoffs and who he's going to knock out tonight?
Probably didn't look at it that far, but I'll just take Justin Wadsworth for the win, and I didn't look at the points enough to give you an answer on that. So,
well, I think I am going to take Johnny Thomas to get this win tonight. And, of course, that would put him into the playoffs. I think Seth Rawls is going to get knocked out. And I also think that we will have Gerald Campbell jump up in front of Joe Francis. And just a little quote here from Ethan Burrell today. He said that they're either going to win this race or they're going to be firewall deep. So that's just a little bit of the mindset of these drivers out here tonight. The pace car pulls off here. Green flag is out. And we are taking off here from Daytona. Do you guys, Jake, we didn't get to talk about a big wreck here early, but a lot of times we'll show up to Daytona, and these races will either play out really clean and we'll get some green flag stops, or we'll get a bunch of wrecks. What kind of race do you think we're in for tonight? Do you think it's going to be clean and green, or are we going to have a bunch of wrecks?
Yeah, I would think clean and green, knowing that it's a cutoff race and everybody needs their points, and from that aspect, I would think that the guys that are still having to race in would be a little bit more conservative. But then you do have a list of, say, 8 or 9 guys, 10 guys that are locked in already. So mix all those together, and might be a proper recipe for a big wreck.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out, see how this package goes. So far, we're double wide and right here at the front. I mean, you see, it's still just like we started the race. William White on the bottom, Ethan Burrell on the top, Cutlip's the pusher, Ryan's the pusher. And then you got the 2 Fodies. Double wide all the way through. And I do believe this is the first Super Speedway race with the new iRacing model and updates where they've made the side draft a little stronger from the left side. It used to be just the right side that was really hard and could yank you back, but the left side is now there as well. As you see, 3 sets of tires, stage points on lap 30, and 80 laps will give us the 200 miles. And Chad Frankenfield, Chad wide. Chad's going to shoot the middle back here and says, I am going to be trying to find my way to the front. Taking big risks back here. There you see Joe Francis, a guy who's right at that cut line, just a little bit up. I believe 13 points to the good is Joe Francis coming into tonight.
Yeah, and one thing that's working really well for Chad coming up through the middle right there, the 2 lanes, you got the bottom lane right on the yellow line, the outside line giving a little bit more space all the way throughout the field, and that's allowing those guys to push through 3 wide as Scott Crump goes up and blocks Chad's runoff, and he's going to lead that middle line now.
And Chad's going to be driving tonight without a care in the world. Chad has to win. There is no scenario in which he points his way in. He's got to get that checker flag. It's the only way he's going to make the playoffs. He might even need some points. He's been really struggling this season.
On the other side of that coin, if we say that, all he can do to make it is win, then you kind of got to be around it at the conclusion of 80 laps, and maybe driving through the middle this early isn't the best option.
Well, and here I just looked. Chad has to make up 29 points to get to the top 25 to use the win. So he's got to go up there and get stage points as well. Like, he can't just bank on a win, because you're probably not making up 29 points with just a win. So Chad really needs to have the best race he's had in a long time as far as win the stage and win the race. That's about the only scenario Chad has in a path to get to this playoffs. 29 points behind 25th coming in here.
Here we go. We're starting to see by 3 all the way through the field. We had the 25 of Seth leading the outside line. Got cut off by Fody. Fody's wanting to lead the outside line now.
Yeah, and we are 3 by 3, and now you're seeing it with that third lane. A lot of guys, you kind of netcode into that. They really have given us a lot of great things with the last build, but one of the bad things they've given us is that if guys get close to the wall, you'll see them hit, they'll drop back, you'll hit them, and then they'll be back up where they were, and you'll pick up a bunch of damage. We've seen a lot of issues with the new ARCA car as well. Like, there's been some, it's been 2 steps forward and maybe a half a step backward on iRacing with this last build as far as some of the netcode issues that we have out here. And there you see it right there. See the 32 in the wall? He might have actually hit the wall. That 32 might have actually hit the wall right there.
Do some of these pushes down here on the bottom line, not exactly straight, and they're starting to back up. So that middle line is led by Ethan and Jonathan Cutlip, starting to pull ahead.
Yeah, and one thing we have out here as well is a lot of guys have decided to back off. You see the Johnny Thomases of the world, Joe Francis. A bunch of guys have backed out of this pack and kind of backed away. Ethan Stanley's hanging out behind the pack. These guys got 3 wide, and you started seeing some of those issues with where they would hit the wall. And you just don't want to be any part of that. Oh, the 57's hard on the wall. 57.
Gonna stack Jesse Racimus up real bad. They're gonna lose contact with that outside line, and they're gonna have to fall back in line. It's getting big pushes by Jeff Ryan, their second place on the inside line, has turned William White sideways 3 or 4 times here at the start of this thing.
I'll tell you, that outside line is losing cars. Every time somebody hits the wall, scuffs the wall, another car pulls down, and when the 52 hit the wall down there, that took Jesse out, so they lost 2 cars.
I think guys are learning pretty early here that the bumpers or whatever's going on may not line up as good as we have recently seen on iRacing, and they might have to think a little bit before they get up there and just shove a guy out there.
Yeah, you don't want to shove too hard, and you got some, there comes Ethan Stanley. I mentioned he was riding, and you see Josh Adams pull out as well. Both of these guys trying to get up here, use this third lane to their advantage, try to make something happen.
You mentioned Josh Adams there. Josh Labonte, perhaps, has only gained. I was going through. He's not had the greatest season. He's missed a couple races, so there's that too. But found out earlier today he has only gained 43 points this season. So he's completely out of the points situation. There's no points he can gain to be able to use a win. He just wants to go out there and win. And if I had to guess, help his teammate in the process. So I would not be surprised at all to see Josh get up there behind the 25 and not leave the bumper of that 25.
Yeah, I think we might have to take Labonte. Oh, he's in the wall a little bit right there. A little bit of contact, a little bit of bumper cars. Oh, I believe that they are blaming Vince Isabella for that incident. Apparently he moved up into Josh.
Yeah, and that happened right there around the cutoff to be able to use those points and get in right around Tate Lytle and Chad Frankenfield. So that could have been real bad if that would have collected them all up. As we talk about that, Seth Rawls is in the wall, and he's going to fall all the way back to the back of the pack.
And I just want to take a minute to talk about this. Look at the top line. Look at the 2 cars now working together in that third lane. 2 guys who we have seen kind of frustrated with each other, kind of taking some swings here at each other.
Oh, William White makes a big block of the middle line. They're going to get all stacked up there. Just about had that big one right there, right in front of Jeff Green.
Yeah, William got off that bottom in a hurry. I'm also noticing this third lane is not working great. Like, these guys keep hitting the wall. I don't know if it's the air. I don't know if it's the middle lane moving up into it. But a lot of these guys get in that third lane and just hit the wall. I just watched Dustin Dewar do it again. I watched Ethan Stanley do it down there in turn 1. Dustin Dewar is 5 lanes wide by himself down the backstretch there for just a second.
Yeah, I can tell you, here on the outset, we've talked about it already. I don't like how much these cars are moving around in the pack. We're probably fixing to have a big one here pretty soon with how aggressively it seems you get pushed
big
around.
Push William White into the back of Ethan Burrell, and Ethan gets a little sideways.
And how it may seem the air is working around these cars. They seem pretty out of control here, even down the straightaways, trying to push straight in line. Little contact. Tate Lytle, Scott Crump, saved that right in front of Chad Frankenfield.
This is getting crazy here with how these guys don't have the inability, or they have the inability to go 3 wide here.
Yeah, this is already looking unlike any Daytona race I've really ever seen. I think guys are learning real early. You can't really make counter adjustments with the steering wheel. Some of these guys, looking at William White in particular, that are looking like they're going to spin out, going straight in line here.
Here comes Scott Crump with the big run on the top. The 57 also moving up to the top. So I've noticed here a lot of guys have bailed on running this third lane completely to where they're just running in line in the middle or the bottom. And we're seeing guys get a big run, go to the top of 3. Tyler Frody's the only guy we've seen up here since, just a few laps into the race and not make a mistake, not have an issue. Josh Adams got in line behind him. They seem to be doing a pretty decent job. Now they got Scott Crump coming to help. And now you see us 3x3 again. The 57 and 15 now coming up here in that third lane as well. The 3 with the big move up the track, trying to take this lead. And the 3 is going to move all the way up and he's going to get shuffled. They nearly play bumper cars. Now we got to stack up in that top lane. That was just a bad move out of that 3 car right there. He's probably kicking himself a little bit. He moved up too far, and now he got up here in this third lane. Instead of having the help to try to take the lead, he's now just trying to hang on inside the top 10.
And yeah, that's something that they're gonna. That he made that move there, and he's gonna learn that for the end, or later on in the race, and be like, "Hey, I made that big aggressive move earlier, and it didn't work." So I know for later, if I got to pull out and block a lane, can't go as far. You gotta kind of commit to not going out there as far, and try and make it work that way. But it's working out now for Tommy. He's 3x3. He's been pushed out on that high line by Tyler.
Yeah, and this third lane's picking up cars again. This is the most cars that have been in it so far. Since we had that, big issue earlier, we'll see how these guys are able to handle it. They're a little bit, they're knowers now. They know what happened.
Yeah, we mentioned how it wasn't really working out a whole lot. Now, just to mention the month of May, we've got the Indy 500 festivities going to be kicking up pretty soon. It's looking like a 3-wide start. It's like an IndyCar start right here.
This has all the fixins for a big mess. We've had a lot of severe weather here as William White moves to the bottom. A lot of severe weather here in the Midwest in the last few weeks, and I know all three of us live in the Midwest. This is what I would call a big wreck watch. All the fixins are here for us to have a major issue.
Oh, Josh Robin, he tried to come up to the middle lane behind Tate Lytle. And at the same time, Tyler Fody bailed on the outside line, and they almost collided. That was almost it right there.
And Vince running that 3 car way up into towards the wall. The 3 is going to get the wall. That's the second time we've seen Vince go into a corner and run right against somebody and kind of push him up the racetrack a little bit. And now they got a big push coming back. What do the Pro Edge cars do? They tried to get out there and kind of block the lane, but they could not. The 3 comes right back, surging around the top. Josh Adams trying to push Jeff up to the lead. Another thing we've kind of got to bring up here. I mean, we're still a good ways away. They can go... I guess they can go about 45 laps on fuel, huh? Way further than I feel like they used to be able to. I was thinking we were within about 10 or 15 laps of pit stops, but we are not quite there yet. These guys got plenty of fuel in the tank to be able to be aggressive out here. Oh, little bit of a checkup on the inside lane. The 3 pulled down to the middle. Josh Adams now leads that top side with a push from Scott Crump in the 90. It's all Lake Norman on the top with the exception of Josh Adams.
Yeah, that 3 car is bobbing left, bobbing right. All kind of all over the place. William White gets a bump from the 37.
Oh, the
Ethan
91 hits
Stanley
the
on
wall.
the wall. Again, right in front of Chad Frankenfield. Chad's thinking, come on guys, just keep it out of the wall. You keep hitting it right in front of me. I keep making my track position up, and then you guys hit the wall, and I got to do it all over again.
And Chad knows we are at the line 11 laps away from the stage. And he's got to make up 29 points and win the race to get into the playoffs. So he knows it has to happen for him. In the next 10 laps, he has to get some kind of substantial stage points to Ethan Stanley bails on that top side. Squeezes down into the middle. And I really like that scheme that Stanley... Oh, Chad's going to hit the wall. I think a little bit of Vince. A little bit of Vince there. Pushing him up. The 3 gets to the bottom. All the way back to where he started.
Big contact. Jeff Green, Ethan Burrell, Josh Adams.
In there. A bunch of cars. I see Ethan Stanley down there. I see Ethan Burrell. I mentioned Chad Frankenfield, Seth Ross, Tate Lytle is down here. Some of these cars don't look like they can move. Jeff Green and Josh Adams trying to roll back to pit lane. Cannot get moving. Zach Evans has got a bunch of damage down here on the apron in 1 and 2. It looks like just a push going wrong. William White into the 3. Bounces him into the 5, the 2. And we get the 37. The 40's in there. Josh Robin. Vincent Isabella is in there. Scott Crump is in there. I mean, we talked about Chad Frankenfield getting a good bit of damage. Dustin Dewar's in there. The big one at Daytona. And it has taken out a lot of cars. But what we are going to do here is we're going to have our first commercial break of the night. Stick with us. On the other side of this break, we will take you to the end of the first stage.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming. Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
To win the blue egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with blue egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Fueling big to win big. Blue egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Ooh, ooh, big. You're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Ooh, win big.
And welcome back to Daytona for the GoldenBrew 200. GoldenBrew says, join us as we explore and discover the ultimate GoldenBrew experience tailored just for you. I think we have one more replay of this wreck here on board with Seth Rawls. Talk to us about what you're seeing here, Jake.
Yeah, so we talked about it pre-race. 3 points up in the points there. It got a little bit of contact with Chad, but a great job by Seth to get slowed down enough to keep his season alive for 60 more laps.
And we are now also joined here by Josh Adams. And Josh, we'll get to you about your night here. The next caution, I'm sure there will be one, but to bring everybody up to speed here, Chad Frankenfield was in that wreck and has decided to stay out. We are within 10 laps of the stage. I think he's hoping for a quick yellow. That car seems to have a good bit of damage. Green is out. Chad gets a big jump there for all that rear damage he's got. I don't anticipate this being too great unless they just wreck here real quick and in a hurry. Frank pulls up behind him. But they've got Big Mo on the top. Justin Wadsworth pushing the 43. Got Cutlet back there. Got the 24. Chad's sideways getting pushed.
Yeah, already.
I think that's just the damage. That's got to be the damage.
Yeah, and if I'm Frank, you got to realize that car's got a lot of damage, and you can't really. You got to take your lumps and kind of just follow through the field. You can't really be pushing on that car as slow as he's going. We've already seen that was what caused our first crash, and there's really no reason to be pushing on a car with that much damage.
Yeah, and I think in this new build that we've got with iRacing, rear damage seems to free the car up, and there's quite a bit of damage on that 15. I get what he's doing. I get his season's on the line. He needs to make up those points to get to 25th and win the race, but we'll see. So far, he's holding on.
Well, yeah, I think staying out right here, he maybe wasn't necessarily looking to win the stage, but get in between a couple cars here that can get him pushed and stay up to speed and hopefully get a few points, and then look for a quick caution to go and fix his damage after that, and hope to be around to ultimately try and win the race at the end.
I think Chad's going to try to win the stage. If there's any kind of situation that he can try to lead a lane here in the last few laps, I think he's going to try to win the stage. He has to, and you look at that car getting loose. Oh, they're hitting the wall on the top. They're all in the wall on the top there a little bit.
That was right there in front of one of our bubble guys, Brandon Wilkinson. We've talked about him laying around in the back that entire first run. It looked like he wanted to go up there and race with these guys a little bit and get some stage points. And then Tommy in the wall right in front of him, and he's going to have his work cut out for him if he's going to get back in there and get some points.
Yeah, and we're going to have 4 laps to go in the stage as they cross the line.
Big block by William White's going to get that top line stacked up.
And Frank is pushing on that 15.
Going to put Chad. He's up to speed. This is where the pushing might work out a little bit more, that he's up to speed. And he's out looking at the lead is the 15.
I'm going to tell you what, if this works out and he's able to win this stage, unreal. Frank's push. Oh, a little sideways there's Chad. Yeah, it's got to be hard to push on a car with that much damage.
Yeah, Frank needs to ease up a little bit and get straight onto Chad and push him, straight ahead. And he's getting there and hitting that tail light, and that's upsetting Chad every time.
Tate Lytle's pulling to pit road there as he's got all that damage. We've got 3 to go in the stage. I think if you're Chad, you're wanting somebody to pull down in front of you. The line seemed to be moving a lot better when somebody was in front of you, and right now you're just backing up on the bottom. And now he's got 2 guys pulled down in front of him. The 5 could probably do it if he wanted to as well. Wadsworth trying to make a move on the 43. Cutlip gets to his right rear. Cutlip with help from Tyler Pop, Gavin Higgins, Vincent Isabella leading that third lane. And all of a sudden, Chad Frankenfield's sitting there looking at minimum stage points. But a lot can change with 2 laps left here in the stage.
Mentioned Tyler Pop. He's a guy that we got to talk to. Chad, sideways.
Chad's still
there's
sideways.
Definitely no points for Chad there, but he kept the car. He's still going to have something to race with at the end.
Chad not happy with that maneuver. Nonetheless, we are coming to look at the white flag for the stage this time. Nearly a wreck up there with Michael Goodman really checking up in the middle. And now we're sitting here. 1 lap left in the stage. Cutlip, Isabella, William White. Sitting here trying to win this stage.
Yeah, William White's trying to play spoiler and take all the points for himself. They don't matter to him. He's just out here trying to win a race. And then he's hogging all those points while he's at it. Got a guy like Gavin Higgins who needs max points. He's sitting 21st, 25 points out. So he really needs those points here. Tyler Pop needs the points. Justin Wadsworth is plus 28.
Yeah, this right here is probably going to put Justin Wadsworth in a great spot. He might even be able to have a shot to win this stage coming off a 4 if he gets clear of the 5. Doesn't look like he's going to get clear of that 5 car though, but William White's going to win the stage over Wadsworth, Cutlip, Higgins, Tyler Pop,
Completion stage 1.
Frank Fody, Jared Rexing, Vincent Isabella, Harrison Talon, and Michael Goodman all score stage points. Anybody in there catch your eye there, Jake, about getting points, that they needed the points?
Yeah, we mentioned Justin Wadsworth. He's going to go and get 9 points as we see a wounded Scott Crump. Tyler Pop down into Wadsworth.
Wall.
We just mentioned it. He got as many points as he could, and now Justin Wadsworth is done. So he's really going to be hoping those stage points are going to... That's no good.
Man, we got to take a look here at what happened. That was absolutely huge.
Tyler Pop shoves is that Goody down?
Okay, so I think what happened here, they caught the lap car trying to get 4 wide. The 44 had to move up to give the 6 room, and the 13 was not moving up. He said, I'm going to hold it right here. Y'all make it happen. Vince drifts down into the right rear of the 44. Vince has kind of been, he's been struggling holding the line here tonight so far, and Justin's going to get turned real hard. He's going to come up and catch Vince. Man, Justin thinks I'm in a good spot. I was just about to talk about Tyler Pop. He came in here about 15 out, and he got stage points right there, so I was about to talk about his odds to make it, drastically improved, and unfortunately for him, and a bunch of other guys here, the 70, look at this. Harry's flying through the air. Frank Fody's head on in the wall. Josh Robbins spinning down there on the apron. You see Dustin Dewar. Ethan Stanley down there, missing the wreck in the grass. Pit stops are underway for some of the guys out here tonight, but we haven't talked to him yet. We're going to bring him in here to the action, and he said he was going to stick around with us tonight as well. So he'll chime in here as well as the broadcaster. But Josh, talk to us about your early exit tonight and what you felt out here in the car.
Yeah, it was kind of just a stranglehold, as you could see. We were running 3x3x3 all the way back, and unfortunately, the guys that had the easiest job on the bottom caused the wreck. It was really hard what I was doing, keeping it between the concrete block on my outside and the cars in the middle, and the guys that had the easiest path caused it, so it was pretty frustrating.
Yeah, and these cars seem to be moving around quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of movement out of a lot of cars. I mean, is it that hard to control out here? Is it the pushes? What do you feel like is so different out here tonight?
Well, I mean, we all know. I think there's a lot of guys that are pushing that probably shouldn't be. But one thing, the car is super low, dragging the ground pretty much all the way around on both ends in the corners. So I think that's probably maybe a little bit of what's making them a little bit out of shape. But I think for the most part, just that's not even the worst bit of it. There's just some guys out there that can't hold a line.
Anybody you want to name in particular?
Well, one of them was Vince when I was up there, but at least he didn't cause the wreck. So
Yeah, we've seen Vince struggle tonight, and he might have finally. Some guys, depending on how you look at it, might think he caused this last one. But either way, your season has been pretty bad. Jake was telling us that you have scored not a whole lot of points. You're not even in the graph, so
43 to be exact.
Oh, there we go. 43 for Josh this season. Yeah, I mean, what a brother over there, making sure everybody knows that all season long you've only, collected 43 points.
Hey, all season long it's been our storyline, Josh Labonte. So, Chris, you've given me the ammo all year. And, unfortunately here at the playoff cutoff race, we got to talk about points, and it wouldn't be fair to not talk about everybody.
yeah, definitely fair. It's been definitely a trying season for me, but when you see like what just happened with this race, for example, William White going down into the 3 and hammering the guy in front of him for no reason and wrecking the pack, it's pretty easy for that stuff to happen every week.
Yeah, and I'm looking here on this list. I'm not seeing William White even on this list about having an opportunity to make the playoffs either.
William White's a part-timer here with us. He's only made, I think this is his 6th start of the year. And by rule, I believe they could only miss 2 races, and what this is 10.
So, I don't know. William being pretty aggressive out here and trying to win everything, but make some enemies out here in guys' night who, are in the playoffs, are fighting to be in the playoffs. We talked about with Wadsworth, he was in that wreck. We've seen Joe Francis out here tonight involved in a wreck. We've seen Tyler Popp involved in a wreck. These are guys
all these cars. This is showing us how many people have been on pit road both laps, repair and damage. There's only going to be 4 or 5, maybe 6 rows, double file. Everybody else is lined up in the tail end of the longest line, repair and damage and whatnot.
And there were some guys here who did not pit, and we are, I believe, in the window or real close to being able to make it to the end. And this race, with the amount of cars that are out here, it might go green for the rest of it. Green is out. Cutlip gets a big jump up front, pulls to the inside, but I like getting fuel there and giving myself an option there to, you might need a splash and go. You might be able to make it. I don't know. I feel like Cutlip has kind of put himself in a spot here. He is locked in, so it's not like it's going to be terrible if he has to pit and some guys don't.
Yeah, and Chris, if I could try and maybe see into what those guys were thinking, I think there were some guys in the front that were maybe still thinking about the misinformation where Chad might have said the stage was at 35, because I heard people still asking if that was the stage when the caution came out.
Well, unfortunately for some, unfortunately for people like Justin Wadsworth, Justin was able to collect those points right there before he got wrecked out, so he's going to give himself a good shot to make this playoff. But what Justin doesn't want to see is a couple guys under that cut line get top 10s and somebody else. I picked Johnny Thomas to win this thing and get into the playoffs tonight. If Johnny wins this race, a couple guys underneath, that cut line win, or not win, but get top 5, top 7, then Wadsworth is going to be sitting there just hoping and waiting for the points to be tallied at the end of this thing.
Yeah, this has really jumbled up our view of what we have been used to seeing 3x3. Now you're looking for everybody who doesn't have damage, and you want to push those cars. And we're waiting to see if our full pack is going to come back together, or if there's too many wounded, and we have a race with 10 or 15 or so of them coming to the end.
Based on what I'm looking at here, I think we might have between 20 and 25 guys who still have a shot to win this race. There's a lot of guys back there with a good amount of damage, and right now Vince is leading a group of cars right behind the lead draft, and I think Vince is kind of holding them up. If those guys don't and there they go around Vince, they finally shuffled him. I feel like if they would have stayed behind Vince another lap or two, they would have lost the lead draft. And that's Joe Francis now. Finally got him shuffled.
Yeah, just speaking of Joe Francis, he coming into the night, he was plus 13 to the cut line. So he couldn't have afforded to lose the draft and not have any more points to go up and get.
And Joe Francis was involved in that wreck. And speaking of involved in the wreck, Tyler Fody, we saw him involved in that first wreck. And he had taken the lead on the top with a push from Josh Robin, who was also down there involved in that first wreck. So 38 laps in, race not even to the halfway point. We got guys who were already in a wreck, probably thought their night was shot. Get it fixed up. Now they're up here trying to take the lead. Josh, was there any chance your car could have... we saw you struggling to roll. Could you have done anything to get back out there?
Oh, no, there was no chance. I got that too much damage, we're done note when I pulled into my pit stall. I wish I had that golden horseshoe that some of those guys came out of that wreck with.
Yeah, and right now, Michael Goodman... Also, let's talk about him a little bit. Ty McIntosh is up here. Corey Abbott. We talked about Brandon Wilkinson. He's up here. Chad Frankenfield. His damage all of a sudden isn't so bad compared to a lot of other guys with damage.
Yeah, Chad's a guy we all know you're not going to put him down until the checkered flag waves. Either that or he's got, as Josh described, too much damage to be able to roll. As long as he's got his tires and his motor working for him, Chad's going to be out there digging, trying to win this race and throw any kind of Hail Mary still possible.
Seth Rawls is back here still, and we know he's got to try to get into the playoffs tonight. Gerald Campbell's still running out here. All these guys have some kind of damage here. Vincent Isabella's got some kind of damage out here. Dustin Dewar, Leighton Norgard, Ethan Burrell lost the draft. They're just hoping to have probably another big wreck and get some more, spots. But Johnny Thomas, Kyle Hanshaw, Jared Rexing, all these guys trying to make the playoffs. I believe Rexing is locked. I believe he
was our winner back
race,
at the very beginning of the season at Fontana.
The trophy. So a lot of these guys needed some help. I look at a guy like Johnny Thomas. He's still sitting up here. I look at a guy, Gerald Campbell. Brandon Wilkinson's all of a sudden looking really good. That's going to be the battle, is Wilkinson, Seth Rawls, Joe Francis. How does Justin Wadsworth fall into all that?
Yeah, we talked about Wadsworth at the end of the stage. He got those 9 points. He was plus 28. So that looked real good for him. And then, right as soon as we were basically talking about that, he was one of the first cars turned. And now he's just kind of got to hope that the cards fall the right way for him. But I think there's enough of those cars on the bubble that have kind of been taken out of the equation that he's probably going to...
And then you also look here. I was just looking for him to see if he even started. I found him. He was involved in a wreck already. Major damage at Leighton Norgard. That's another guy. He came in here 38 to the good. I mean, it would take something catastrophic for him to miss, but, he's out here. I'm sure he is feeling the pressure of that situation.
Yeah, he's plus 38, and so it's really not mathematically possible that a whole lot of guys can come up and get him, but there's still 34 guys running around on track within 2 laps of the lead, so still could finish 34th,
And we don't know who did what with the, as far as stage points and leading the lap and all these other scenarios that you can gain a point or two here. So what he's got to feel good about is knowing that Wadsworth is done. Tyler Pot, there's a lot of guys that are on that cut line who have damage like he does or are done, so.
yeah, Gavin Higgins runs around here in 3rd place right now. 21st in points, 25 out, so he needs to win the thing. And that's the other thing I don't think we've touched on, is if the points do finish how we came in, but we have a new winner that is able to win their way in, that could automatically knock out one of these guys like a Seth Rawls or a Joe Francis based on how the points play out.
And you know who I want to talk about? With some of the guys not here tonight, he is going to probably be in the top 25. Corey Abbott has a chance to really shock the world and give us that Austin Dillon moment from Richmond. Of course, Austin Dillon's moment was taken away a couple days later, but Corey Abbott could really shake this playoff tree up if he's able to win this race, because with the guys in front of him who didn't start and the guys in front of him who have had trouble, if he were to win the race, all he needed was, I think, 1 point to get to that top 25. Yeah, he's 1 point out of the top 25. Well, he would cover that, and if that would be exciting. Corey Abbott winning here in a walk-off.
So those are teammates there leading the bottom line, the 9 and the 20. So I don't expect they really race each other very hard, but they want to try and keep control, because they are 2 guys that could be benefited by a win.
And Chris, you were talking about Corey Abbott. Jay Knorr's another one. He's 1 point behind Corey, and he's leading the race at the moment.
There we go. See, I didn't even see Jay. So Josh already up here coming after my job. But how about that? What if one of those two were to win? That would be very exciting, and possibly very frustrating for a Seth Rawls or a Joe Francis or even a Brandon Wilkinson, who's right there behind the cut line, if he's somehow barely gets in and then somebody else wins and gets in there.
Yeah, that's the big thing for Brandon Wilkinson right now, is he came in 3 points out, didn't get any stage points, and now he's really nowhere to be seen up here.
I wish we had some kind of live graph that showed us the points as they run, to factor in those stage points, because that Justin Wadsworth deal is really going to be that's going to be a big factor in how this all shakes out at the end of the night.
Yeah, the situation I was looking at with Wadsworth, Wilkinson came in 31 points behind Wadsworth, and we noted Justin got some stage points, but Brandon is sitting 22 spots ahead of Wadsworth at the moment, with still 15 or 16 spots to go, so he can definitely cover that 38 margin, depending on what kind of stage points Wadsworth got. I don't know how many.
Wadsworth got 9, finished second in stage 1. Came in plus 28, so hypothetically you could move that to plus 37 with his stage points.
So that's 40 over Brandon, right? Is what that would be? Or no, Brandon is the cut, right? So it would be...
No, Brandon's 1 below the cut, behind Seth Rawls, 3 points. That would effectively be, 37 or 38 points that Wilkinson would have to... 38 or 39 points, I believe, that Wilkinson would have to make up on Justin Wadsworth.
And so the math isn't there for this race. Brandon would have to lead all the laps, and he would have had to score... it could come down to those stage points. Those stage points could be all the difference in Brandon getting in and Justin being out. I'm telling you, that wreck coming 1 lap later, if that wreck would have came 1 lap earlier, Justin might be on the other side of this fence, and he still might be, I mean, with how this plays out, we don't exactly know. This is live math by the three of us, and we're no mathematicians. We're just trying to give you as much information as we can about this cut line. And what we do know is Justin got 9 stage points, so could be a huge deal.
Another thing of note, we have not had a repeat winner at all this season. And right now, the only 2 guys that are up here that have had wins are John and Tyler. And then you got Tommy Ryan a little ways back that has won this season. The rest of them haven't. So, odds are in favor of the guys that haven't won to go and add another new winner on the season and probably shake the points up even just that much more.
Yeah, and we've got 30 to go at the stripe. I don't know about these fuel numbers. I'm curious if the 5 can make it. I don't think it can. It could be close, but I think the guys that pitted on the last caution, I think they're probably sitting pretty good, maybe right on the money, and I think the 5's just outside. I think everybody's got to be close on fuel. That's why we're seeing this thing single file out. We've got 3 cars running on the top. That tells me a lot of guys are trying not to use all the fuel. Are you guys seeing the same thing I am here? You guys think that same scenario is playing out where we're seeing a lot of guys saving a little bit of fuel right here?
Yeah, that would be pretty on brand for our entire regular season here with fuel saving. A lot of the races have come down to fuel. So why would a regular season finale where points matter, why would it not come down to fuel saving?
Yeah, and the one guy that this doesn't benefit at all, that the fact that they've all got single file with some gaps, trying to save a little bit of fuel, who this hurts is John Cutlip. I believe John might be the only guy who did not pit under that last caution. Because there was guys that stayed out with him the first time around, but then a bunch of guys pitted the second time around. So I think John is who this is going to just absolutely, destroy here at the end if everybody else is trying to save. Because we're seeing some big gaps back there. I'm looking at the 30. Look at the 30 back there falling way off this front line. The 07's falling off this front line. And Chad can't keep up without somebody right on him. With his damage, we saw that earlier, that he was really struggling. And now he's out there with nobody right in front of him and nobody right on him. We're seeing a lot of separation out here in these packs right now.
I said the only other car that I could see that stayed out with John that last time was Jay there in the 9.
So those guys are obviously probably thinking we need to get a caution somehow, some way.
Yeah, and as battered as that 90 machine is with Scott Crump, I just heard over the radio a couple laps ago, he actually blew his tire. His car is so mangled.
Yeah, and he's just chugging along, he's trying his best out here. He came in, he was locked in, so he doesn't have to be out here.
Yeah, this is a situation where, Scott's running around here just, basically for pride, and luckily he's got the points to be able to back him up here to lock him in.
We got 4 cars on that top lane now. The 66 starting to back him off. Like all that, slowly but surely, guys are just backing off.
And the thing that this has helped is Chad Frankenfield and Brandon Wilkinson. It has helped them catch back up to the lead draft. With Chad, if he wouldn't have caught back up, that was going to be his season with no chance to throw his Hail Mary. He's still got an outside shot, as slim as it may be. It's probably just about 0.0001%, but we talked about if there's a chance. He'll go up there and try and find it.
I'm riding on board myself right now with Ethan Stanley, and there is a effort to not use the whole pedal here. There's a lot of lift and coast going on right here. These guys are trying to maximize and get to the end of this race, I believe. And that him and Weeks could pull up and probably drive to the top 10 if they wanted to pull out. So these guys are setting the stage here for a fuel mileage finish at Daytona. Shades of, 2003?
Yeah, and this is a perfect opportunity where we see Chad pulling out, trying to make a pass. If you know the field is going to be slowing down, trying to save fuel, well then, in your situation, just throw all that out the window. Just go and pass as many of them as you can while they're not trying as hard, and hope that Brandon Wilkinson comes with you. For now, it looks like Wilkinson is happy to just ride around at the tail end and see how the rest of it plays out.
And I just had to double check my callback there, and it was 2003 summer race at Daytona. Greg Biffle won his very first NASCAR Cup race by stretching the fuel, and I believe Bobby Labonte ran out there with the lap or two to go, and it was one of the most unique and odd Daytona races I ever seen. Hasn't been one like it since, as far as the fuel mileage coming down to the end. So that could be what we're setting up for right here tonight. Is the guy who wins the race is going to be the guy who does the best job saving fuel. But maybe these guys feel like they've got enough now, because all of a sudden they're getting kind of racy again out here as we approach 20 to go.
One thing we know for sure about that 2003 race, Greg Biffle was wearing sleeves inside that car.
No doubt about that. Wearing some sleeves inside that race car. He has since, if you saw on TV yesterday, went sleeveless, showing off those arms. And I think the sport misses guys like him and Carl Edwards, to name a couple guys that kind of retired too soon, but we saw Greg come back and I believe win a truck race for KBM at Texas, and I think Carl is thinking about running something. I know he says he isn't, but we've seen him in a car, and we know that he's been in the sim. I think Carl's got that itch. I think we'll see Carl on a racetrack in some way, shape, or form in a NASCAR Top 3 Series in the next year. So they work around the 90. I think this is going to put the 90 6 laps down. So I think the 90 is no longer going to be able to drive around the racetrack after this pass. So just to let y'all know at home, Scott's going to have to pull to pit road here. Mark has had to pull in. Vince Isabella, Tate Lytle, Tyler Popp, Justin Wadsworth, Frank Fody, Harrison Talon, Dylan Javier, and Jeff Green, along with Josh Adams. All are done for the night. And Jesse Racimus is maybe 10 or so laps away from there without a yellow. He's 4 laps down. He's driving around without a hood out there in that 70 machine.
Hey, Chris, being his teammate, I thought you would have had the pronunciation down by now for Dylan.
He's going to have to run a little better before I start saying his name how it's supposed to be said.
Touche.
And I hope he hears that. We'll know if he watches the broadcast back or not, based on any kind of message I received during this week.
So we're coming down to 20 to go that time, led by Tyler Fody and Jonathan Cutlip, our usual guys running out front, and then some guys we're not used to seeing out front: Josh Rabin, Corey Abbott, Jake Hayner, Ty McIntosh.
And Jesse gets lapped. That'll put him 5 down.
See Kyle Hanshaw running around
And I think Kyle's going to be doing whatever he can probably to try to help his teammate Johnny Thomas win the race.
Yeah, it's kind of the situation we were talking about with Josh and Seth earlier, where we thought that, you know, Josh was going to probably commit to the back end of the 25. Well, now that 46 is probably going to go wherever the 83 goes and try and get him to the end.
Oh, Jeff's trying to pull up here and go Chad wide, right in front of Chad, and Chad says, hold on, I'm coming. I'll come right through there with you. Oh, contact on the top side, nearly have us an accident. No lift out of that 15. He says, I see spots. And he's going to turn the 8 of Josh Robin, going to get the 3, and we're going to stay all the 12s around. You know? I'm not sure what Chad thought was going to happen trying to force 4 wide. I saw that live. Chad was not going to lift. Tried to force it 4 wide. Just sometimes you gotta lift off that pedal. Just unfortunate circumstances there. Chad knows he's in a must-win, but you know, they turned sideways. You saw them. You know, the 8 got over there. You know, I just don't know where Chad thought he was going to go right there. They did a great job. All these guys did a great job saving it. The 12 is going to be the car that ends up getting churned. The 83 pulls up. Yeah, the 83 just carried more momentum down there. Got the 12 on the apron of the racetrack. And you see, the 46, not going to be of any help to Johnny Thomas, as he is surfing on top of that 24 car. I mean, Belly Up Sports is taking a ride on top of this 24. 66 gets hit by the 38 there. 95 drives the 24 up under the 46. So I think we're going to take this opportunity here, after this accident here. We're going to have our last commercial break of the night. So stick with us. On the other side of the break, we'll bring you the rest of this race here at Daytona.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to WWTRaceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back here to the Golden Brew 200. We are going to go green here with 15 laps to go. Let's see who is the leader here. JP Phillips is the leader. Tommy Ryan, Jared Rexing, Tyler Fody, Chad Brinkenfield. We have had a wild night here at Daytona. We're setting up for 15 laps. Guys need to win. Guys need to score some points. Guys are hoping that the situation plays out good for them. Of course, we've got Dave Huck up here working the cameras, Jacob Adams in the booth, as well as Josh Adams. What do you guys think we're going to see here in this 15-lap run to the checkered flag?
Well, I don't think we're done seeing the chaos. I think they've got at least one more good wreck in them. So I think that's what we're going to see, one more big wreck.
It will be interesting to see what happens. JP Phillips currently out front here. And that's a guy that came into the night 13 points under the cut line, so he needs to have himself a good run. And he's going to have Tommy Ryan right beside him, who is locked in on points. So Tommy's, he's got what he needs. Jared's got what he needs. He's locked in. So we'll see that 38 try to be pretty aggressive, throwing some blocks, throwing some haymakers. Green flag is out. A great start up here for the 38 machine. They head down for turn number 1. Jared Rexing with the big push. They're really pushing good up there on the top, but that 66 has got that rear damage that we saw out of Chad earlier. We'll have to see how he holds on to the push. Tyler Fody's going to give him a big one. They head down the backstretch, heading for turn 3. Big pushes on the top, big pushes on the bottom. 14 laps left to decide who is going to be in the playoffs here starting next week. You see Ethan Stanley trying to create a third lane all the way back there. Matthew Weeks is going to pull out and try to go with the third lane. And Johnny Thomas looked like he was going to go with him. They tucked back in line. The 38's clear on the bottom. The 10 nearly cleared. I just think that 66 with that damage is going to be really hard for those guys to push on at the top.
And yeah, that's right now, that's JP Phillips' best friend right there, Tommy Ryan, holding up that outside line. JP's the guy that came in 13 points below the cut line, and now here, right towards the end of the race, finds himself leading, and he could turn around his entire points situation if he could just go out there and win the race.
Yeah, and we see that third lane. Matthew Weeks pulls up, and then he swipes back to the middle. The 3's turned. We're wrecking here on the front stretch. The 3's around. Oh, we're going to stay green.
They all save it.
Nobody wrecked. Everybody saved it. Cars scattered. There's JP out front. Jared Rexing clear to second. Chad Frankenfield's going to get clear on the bottom. Tyler Fody no longer can push on that 66.
And this right here, that broke up the pack, Brandon Wilkinson, he's the guy we've talked about on the cut line all night. And he was the first guy that got shot out of the pack that you thought was going to lose the draft, and it was going to maybe possibly be over for him. Well, he's got a line of 4 cars here that have gotten him back to the pack. So that's a big deal for the 07 to be able to catch back up. See a little bit further back, Seth Rawls is another one. He's leading another line of cars trying to catch this pack to go up there and get some more points.
And Joe Francis is back there. He's the one pushing Seth. I think what they've got going for them is the 66 is really hurting the top side with his damage. And so that's kind of stalling out the top. The bottom's not pushing too hard right now because they don't have to. So now you got these guys on the bottom, and if they get clear, do they want to pull up in front of that 66? They know his damage is there. I mean, do you dare pull up in front of him and get the push by?
Well, right now, if I'm JP Phillips, I'm holding it to the yellow line. I'm making somebody coming past me, and I'm not. If I'm him, I'm not going to want to be pushed by the 66 when my season is on the line, and he's got some damage. Jared Grexing is a guy that he's going to take care of you. He's already got his win, so he doesn't have a whole lot that he's out here racing for other than just another checkered flag. So I think JP's going to be feeling pretty safe for now.
Yeah.
You're never safe at Daytona, but he feels pretty safe for now.
Yeah, and you got, the 40 is pushing. Tyler's pushing hard on the 66. But he can only get him so far, and then it's, he gets hot and he has to kind of back off. And so Seth Rawls is trying to shoot the middle back here, and Chad Frankenfield's going to try to pull up and lead the top.
We talked about his damage earlier, and now here he is. He's going to lead the outside line.
I don't know that this is any better than the 66.
Oh, here we go. Jay Kaner's around. Brandon Wilkinson's involved. Ethan Stanley.
I saw Seth forcing it 3 wide back there. I got to think that's probably how it started. And apologies to Seth, it wasn't Seth. Looks like it was Ethan Stanley pulling to the middle. The 9 decides he's going to try to shut the door. And a little bit of netcode happens. The 9 gets involved. The 44 is involved. Ethan Stanley's involved. William White. Seth actually did a pretty good job of not getting involved in this incident. I mean, he got in it a little bit, but not nearly as bad as it could have been. You take a look here at Seth coming through the wreck, Dustin Dewar coming through the wreck. There's Jay sitting there. His playoff hopes are over in turn 3. No shot anymore for Jay to get into these playoffs.
Well, what this does now for
the
JP...
66 pitting. The 66 is pitting right here. Really surprised. I mean, I know he had that damage. I know he felt that damage, but very surprised to see him bail. A lot of guys out here. They are currently going over some scenarios here that we can hear and you guys at home cannot. We are not going to name all these scenarios because odds are none of them happen and something chaotic happens. We're going to be restarting at about 5 or 6 laps to go.
Well, we're gonna hit on that one real quick with Chad. We've seen him out front and trying to win this race all race. His scenario right now is to make up 28 or 29 points and have to win. And he says if he won, more than likely that would happen, and it would just come down to where everybody else finishes. So
I'm going to go ahead and say it now. Chad could win this race, and he's not in the playoffs. I don't think he's made up 29 points. He didn't.
Yeah,
get
he
any
definitely
stage
hasn't.
points.
But we've talked about it all night. If there's a will, there's a way.
You can't just add points to your bucket. So I don't think there's any kind of scenario where Chad makes the playoffs.
There's a lot of guys that probably would say otherwise, but definitely not. We'll have to see how it plays out. We're probably going to go green around 5 or 6 laps to go.
Because people in front of Chad are Josh Robin, Corey Abbott. Dylan's up there and Jay's up there. So like he could get those two. RC and Joshua Chin, I don't believe are out here. Dustin Dewar's still running. Johnny Thomas is still running. I just don't see it. I don't see that math don't math there for me to see Chad even win this race and get in.
It's like a 10-leg parlay for him to win that. There would be a whole lot of things have to come together.
Yeah, and I've tried some 10-leg parlays. You know how many of them have hit?
0, you're still here.
That's right.
Yeah, speaking of all that, we've got the NCAA March Madness National Championship game about to tip off. So these guys that want to watch that, getting this race over just in time. Hopefully we go green from here.
Didn't it already tip? Didn't it tip at like 8:30?
I believe it's 8:50. Yeah.
That must be where Nick Massey is tonight.
Well, I know Nick made a big bet, and he was asking for some opinions on his bet before we went live tonight. I haven't watched a single NCAA basketball game all season. I have no help when it comes to that.
Yeah, before we get back going here, anybody that does, how about the Houston Cougars coming back on Duke the other night, and probably coming back from a 13-3 run in the last 2 minutes and advancing to the national championship game to play Florida tonight?
They took out my Boilermaker, so I'm going to root for Houston.
Didn't even know Houston was playing in the game. Who are they playing?
Florida Gators.
Well, what we got here, 6 laps to settle it, guys. Chad's pulled out in front of that 38 there a little bit. Green is out. I think that might be a restart violation for Chad.
Yeah, I believe Chad got a black flag there.
I mean, he pulled in front of him and just stayed in front of him the whole time to the restart zone. I mean, the 38 had control of the race.
You were in front.
When JP's got a big push now. Oh, and Chad's turned! Jared Rexing's around. They're wrecking into the grass. No caution. It'll be up to race control. Five to go here at the line. 38's going to be furious if a yellow comes out right now. He's in second. Now he's back to the lead. As race control reviews the incident to decide if he's going to throw that yellow. Pushes are getting hard up here. And race control is going to hold the yellow. No yellow. I like the call. And we got 4 to go here at the line.
Big runner on the outside by Matthew Weeks.
Dustin Dewar, these pushes are getting really aggressive out here tonight.
This is back to what we were seeing earlier in the race, 3x3.
Yeah, and the inside's really struggling to push as well as they need to. Those outer 2 lanes are pushing a little better, but as I said, that the 3 has fallen off.
And you got the 2 guys leading the outside line that know they're in. They're just trying to race to collect another trophy. JP Phillips, his season is on the line right here, these last few laps, leading this.
Well, not just him. Josh Robin, Seth Rawls.
Josh Robin, Gavin Higgins.
Brandon is in there. Johnny Thomas is trying to shoot through back there. Like a lot of guys here. These next 3 laps are going to make or break their season.
And Johnny's got his teammate Kyle Hanshaw right behind him.
And I can't believe that after seeing Kyle Hanshaw doing a surf on the 24 down there. That's incredible that car's still out here in the lead draft.
3x3, there's just nowhere for them to go.
Oh, that something's going to happen. I mean, We're back in that big wreck watch again. There's going to be
there goes Dusty.
He's through the grass all by himself. That's going to hurt the inside lane. Coming to 2 laps to go. Two to go at the line. That third lane has kind of died out here.
See Johnny Thomas making another big move to the bottom there. Brandon Wilkinson cuts him off. Now Matthew Weeks is kind of all alone up there on that outside line now.
And the 38's got to win. The 83's got to win. The 25 can do it on points. Here's Chad Frankenfield on the very top. Saw that restart violation and then, getting wrecked. And there's a third lane trying to go somewhere here. And they're going to go right into the back of Chad over here.
Yeah, that's Jeff Ryan, Tommy Ryan.
And we are going to get one lap. 1 lap. Can JP do it? What about Gavin? Will they wreck? Does Johnny have a shot? Can he sneak his way through? Seth Rawls, all these guys racing for their playoff life. Josh Robin right there on the top as well.
What does Gavin Higgins do? He's pushing a guy that he knows if he pushes him to the win, he's going to push him into the playoffs and eliminate himself in the process.
Kyle Hanshaw's
big
in the wall.
move by Johnny Thomas.
Cars are going everywhere. Big push there in the top side. Does that get Cutlip clear into 3? It does not. What does Josh Robin do out of 4? He knows he has to win.
Gavin's not on JP. Big push.
JP gets turned.
Going to get turned.
Oh, and it's going to be Jonathan
Cutlip
winning the race.
Oh, Seth Rawls up. Or no, that was Connor Thompson hard into the outside wall past the line.
I'll tell you, that 38's going to be super frustrated with the 20 right there. Going to be super frustrated with the 20. Jonathan Cutlip wins the race. Did not need it. So now it's going to come down to the point tally with JP Phillips, Connor Thompson, Kyle Hanshaw, Cale Pocock, Matthew Weeks, Michael Goodman, Jeff Ryan, Gavin Higgins, and Tommy Ryan.
And that shot that Connor Thompson took to the outside wall and comes home 3rd place.
I got to tell you, we were that close to having a big spoiler, and instead it's going to be counting every point. I think that's going to work to the benefit of Justin Wadsworth. No new winner tonight is really going to help him out. Seth Rawls lost a lot of points right there at the end, but I think he's done enough. We'll have to see. We're going to count the points. We're going to wait to get official word. We're going to take one more break. Try to drag this out just a little bit to let you know who made the playoffs and who didn't before we go off the air tonight. So stick with us. On the other side of the break, we'll have interviews with our top 3 finishers.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
And welcome back to Daytona, where we just wrapped up our GoldenBrew 200. I am going to bring up, and we are going to be talking to Connor Thompson, third place finisher. Connor, welcome to the booth tonight. Talk to us about your race, what more you needed to win, and talk to us about all the chaos out there tonight.
Well, I had 5 minutes of damage and a wheel that was upside down. So I really don't know how I didn't blow up. It was kind of red the last 2 laps and it was struggling, but I think maybe Seth made the playoffs, so it's a good team day for us, but it was chaos and it was pretty fun.
Yeah, and you mentioned all the damage and all the chaos out there tonight. We saw a lot of guys with damage. We saw a lot of guys fixing damage, and guys that were wrecked taking the lead. So did you think, coming off of turn 4, that you had a shot to win the race?
You never know. I knew it was going to get chaotic. We were kind of keeping up with the points in our group, and we knew a couple guys had a win that were towards the front. So you guys know how it goes. You just want to be in that lead pack for the final lap and just kind of pedal to the floor and see what happens.
All right, Connor, before we let you jump out of here and hopefully build this momentum into the playoffs and make yourself one of the guys to go beat next season, who helps get it done and get you to the racetrack week in, week out here?
Yeah, everybody at Shifty with Seth and Josh and, Ty, everybody, then Design Ping, GoldenBrew, AB Quality, and then, of course, you guys. I mean, everybody at Elite, the broadcast, and Chad. Just enjoy being part of the league.
All right, Connor, thanks for giving us a moment of your time. We can't wait to see what you can do and build on this.
All right, thank you guys.
Well, all righty. We do not yet have JP Phillips, so I am going to go ahead and bring up race winner. We'll talk to John here. I am now joined by John Cullip. John,
Chris,
we were running side by side for the lead there a lot of that late run. We saw all the chaos. We saw all that stuff happen tonight. But I'll tell you what, that 5 car looks about as clean as any of them out there. How did you manage to avoid all that chaos and put yourself out here in victory lane and maybe steal this from the guys outside of the playoffs who thought they were going to be able to take one tonight?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's just a lot of luck. The Xfinity car is kind of sketchy, and the fact that you really don't have a lot of things that you can do to separate yourself from everyone else. You can just try to put yourself in the line that you hope is going to move forward. And yeah, for most of the night we were able to stay up there, but it's just like so hard to do anything yourself as far as just the way this package race is. And we were almost caught up in a couple incidences, and fortunately we weren't collected in any of them.
Yeah, and a lot of guys out there, I'm sure you saw some of those battered race cars. They still looked like they were driving all right, or at least from what we could tell, they had speed. Maybe some of them were a little bit loose, especially some of those guys that had that rear damage. So were you ever nervous out there with some of those guys staying out and some of those guys, leading lines and whatnot?
Yeah, you could definitely tell that they were hurt. Mainly the cars with the damaged rear ends, you could tell that they were dragging their lines back. And again, it's just the way this package is, you can't do anything by yourself. It's just so much situational, like just relying on people around you. And even with the damaged cars, you just can't go out and pass them by yourself like you would be able to in anything else. And a lot of the times you're just like forced trying to push that guy up as far as you can, and it's just hope it works out.
Well, John, you were already locked into the playoffs. You didn't need to win, so this is just some more playoff points for you, stacking them on top. What's your outlook here for this playoff run and hoping to win that title?
Honestly, I'm just kind of here race by race, just enjoying each race and just having fun. It's cool to be able to hang out every Monday with a group of friends and just chill out and race. But yeah, we'll see what we can do, I guess. I'm not even sure what the next race is, to be honest with you.
We'll give it
I
a
guess
second. It'll come by here on our stream. We'll be able to tell you here in just a second. Right now, we're looking at that belly up schedule, and we end at Talladega there on Wednesday.
Yeah, hopefully that's a fun race. They tweaked the package a little bit there. Hopefully we can make some moves. I enjoy just plate race brawling. Just it's a lot of fun where you can just move around and just like shove each other and just side draft and race it out.
Yeah, I think by the end of the week, we're going to be done plate racing for a while. Everybody's going to be tired of it because we got the truck race at Talladega. Looks like we go to Nashville, Road America, and Talladega is the first round there, John. So what do you think? What do you got circled there to win?
Pretty solid at Nashville. Road America, so a road course, never really put any time into it. And Talladega, again, it's like one of those races where it's just so dependent on which lane you're in and just who's behind you and whatnot.
Well, hopefully you didn't use all your super speedway luck tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. We usually don't fare too well in the Xfinity races here in the plate package. We usually end up wrecked a lot, so I was surprised to get the win tonight. I'm happy I got it, but yeah, it's definitely a different feel for sure.
Well, all right, John, before we let you jump out of here, we'll give you a chance to talk about who gets you to the racetrack week in, week out here, and who do you got to think?
Shout out Josh Robbins tonight. He stuck with me at the end. He was huge in pushing me tonight. It's one of those things where you need people to help you out, and he was that guy for us. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. He was with us until the end. So yeah, shout out to Josh for doing that for us. Shout out to Edge Pro Racing. RC couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately. I feel like he would have had fun racing, but he's got better things to do as far as his real life schedule and being a race car driver. Shout out to Race EPI, great group of setup guys, open setups. If you're interested in getting into that, they're very competitive and can get it done for you. Shout out to Billy Racing League over here, Dave, Chris, and Jacob. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the race. It was hairy at times. It was fun to drive. It's scary. Shout out to my mom. I guess this is for her. Got the win before her birthday. So shout out to my mom for that. But yeah, it was a fun night.
Well, all right, John, we can't wait to see you start that playoff run next week, and we know that you're a guy on the mile and a half and anywhere where there's high tire wear that you're going to watch out for in the long run. So go out there and give us a great show next week at Nashville.
Yep, we'll see what we can do.
Well, we do not have JP Phillips, but what we do have is league owner and operator Chad Frankenfield. Chad's going to tell us about these playoffs, who's in, who's out, and give us his outlook as well on what he expects to see here in this playoffs. So go ahead, Chad. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so obviously it was a really tight battle there. So Tate is getting the 14th spot because of his win. So the playoff drivers are Ethan, Crump, Cutlip, Fody, Francis, Tate, Norgard, Seth, Rexing, Ryan, Ethan Stanley, David Tooker, Justin Wadsworth, and Matthew Weeks. So those are the 14 drivers that are in.
So no Wilkinson, no Tate Lytle, is that what I'm hearing?
No, Tate's in. Yeah, Tate's in. So those are the 14. So JP is out and Wilkinson out. So it was really close there between those guys, but ultimately they didn't have enough points.
Can I ask you, how much did Justin Wadsworth get in by?
I don't know because I already reset the points, but I don't think it was super tight.
Yeah, because he scored stage points there at the end of that first stage, 9 of them to be specific, and I was just curious if those made the difference. And Wilkinson didn't score any stage points.
They definitely helped, that's for sure.
Well, all right, Chad. Anything else you wanna say before we jump out of here and wrap this up?
No, it just should be a good playoff. Obviously, 10 winners in 11 races is wild. That was the record. It's probably our best record in any series, 10 winners. So, shout out to Rebilas Photography. Shout out to the ERN crew, you, Dave, Jacob, everybody that's been making this Monday series going from the booth side of things. It should be a fun playoff. And we got more stuff coming up. Wednesday is gonna be a big one at Talladega, and then the trucks finish their regular season Sunday at Talladega. So it's gonna be a fun week of high drama.
At drama, that's where Elite lives. Chad, there are rumblings in the garage area that you might be stepping out of the series next season. There's a spot in the booth for you right here. I think the people want to see it. What do you think?
I'm good. I think I'm pretty good on that front. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes before I figure that out. But the 03 series is coming up, so that's going to take a lot of time as well. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to just finishing up the season and seeing how we do. I'd like to be top 30 in points. That's my goal now at this point.
I was gonna say it's already stressful enough having to deal with all of this, and then having to come and sit with Chris for 2 hours every Monday. Would just kind of compound that. So you're probably better off on that anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, I am awesome to be up here in the booth with. We have a good time. There's food. Dave treats us well.
That's good.
If you want to see Chad in the booth next season, tweet at Chad and at Elite after this race if you're watching. Tweet Chad in the booth. And if we get over 50 people to tweet it, Chad will be in the booth with me next season. Right there.
Nope. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys. Do everything you guys do.
All right, Chad. We'll see you later. Thanks for coming up here and letting us know.
Yep, bye.
Well, boys, as we wrap up our regular season, any final thoughts from you, Jake, overall, and about looking ahead to the playoffs?
Yeah, we spoke about it, high drama, and we definitely had an intense final few laps there with win and end guys, and then ultimately that ended up mattering. Jonathan Cutlip picked up the only repeat winner on the season, and so I think he's probably gonna be the guy to beat in the playoffs.
What about you, Dave? Any final thoughts from you about the race tonight, the regular season, and looking ahead to the playoffs? Well, our track record this season says that we got a good shot at that. We've had a lot of different winners in this series this year. If you tuned in tonight, you got to see the GoldenBrew 200. Shout out to GoldenBrew. Join us as we explore and discover the ultimate GoldenBrew experience tailored just for you. Of course, shout out to Mark. He didn't have a good night tonight. He was in the wreck, but I'm sure that he's going to be posting some stuff on Twitter all week, or on X. I'm sorry. It'll always be Twitter to me, but on X. Whether it's storm chasing or some kind of sporting event. Everybody at Worldwide Technology Raceway, Blue Egg Marketing, everybody here at ERN, Dave, Jake, for joining me tonight. Dave for, being the guy that runs ERN. Chad for all he does for the league. But make sure you tune in tomorrow, where I believe we have an ARCA race tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday, we'll wrap up the Cup Series regular season live at Talladega. Make sure you tune in. A full slate of action for Elite this week. We'll be back with you a week from tonight to start the playoffs. So make sure you tune in next week live from Nashville.